Hi guys, I'm Shmee. Hello to you and welcome back to the channel where today you join me in Germany visiting Brabus. Now normally when I'm here at Brabus it's to drive the likes of the G-Wagons, maybe something like that, the G900 1 of 10, their special anniversary car, perhaps an S-Class or an E-Class. But no, today it's going to be something very different. We're going to take a look at this, the Mercedes X-Class. This is the Brabus X250d with a number of their modifications, but I don't think I've ever previously driven a pickup at all in my life, let alone made a video with one. So today we're going to discover what it's about, take it out for a test drive, check out the Brabus modifications, and see if this thing is really a Mercedes, or how exactly it works. So let's get started and take a look around. Let's start with the basics. So Mercedes are becoming synonymous with building premium vehicles in pretty much every single segment of the market. Whether it's saloons and luxury limousines, a hatchback like the new A-Class, SUVs, or even the monstrous G500 4x4 squares that are behind, they're aiming for every single area they can. Lots of those cars then come here to Brabus to be given even more power and more refinement to the interior. But let's come over to the X-Class, which is really about attacking every single niche, every type of vehicle they can. They've developed the X-Class alongside Nissan, so there are many similarities with the Nissan Navara. It uses their experience, but also shares a number of body panels and even the engine that you find in the X250d. But let's start off and take a quick walk around of this car, and I won't lie, I'm not too familiar with filming pickups. I've filmed with one single ute before, and I suppose that's a similar style concept, very much a working vehicle, a car that is practical. You can chuck all of your equipment and machinery and things that are required, whatever business it may be, into the back of it, but we can walk around towards the front as well and talk a bit about the design. So the X250d fits into the lineup alongside a number of different diesel models. There's a 2-litre petrol engine, but then you have the X220, the X250 and a future X350d as well that Brabus have already said that they will start working on in due course. But this, the X250d, has a 2.3-litre turbocharged inline-4 diesel engine. It's mated to a 7-speed automatic gearbox, or can be had with a 6-speed manual. Looking around it, there are a number of sharpenings up to the design by Brabus. So if we start up right towards the very top, the Brabus dual lights up there for additional lighting towards the front are installed here. Obviously you get the Brabus front grille and radar sensing badge at the very front. Coming down towards the bottom, you also get the add-ons with the daylight running lights that you have down there, and again Brabus logos. And that's one thing you will notice around this car, Brabus logos everywhere. The wheels have been upgraded from the standard 18-inch wheels to the Brabus 20-inch wheels with new Pirelli tyres as well. It's funny that that wheel is as big as 20 inches, because when it's on a car this big it looks tiny. That on a sports car would be fairly huge. Just walking around though, just in general, side sill, rear passenger compartment, so 5-seater vehicle, glass rear window, and the pickup tray at the back that folds open, of course, to throw everything in that you could possibly need into the rear luggage area. I don't know quite how you measure luggage capacity of a vehicle like this, but you've got various different pieces of equipment to tie on and tie down different bits of cargo that you might have back there. It's badged up X250d, 4MATIC automatic gearbox, and new Brabus exhaust tips as well, the quad exhaust tips, which is kind of amusing on this kind of vehicle. But in traditional Brabus style, it's finished in black. You'll notice many of their vehicles are always black painted, but this is a very different thing to that, their anniversary celebration car. So let's come have a quick look at the interior of the X-Class. He says I should probably unlock it first before we can get that far. It even has a Nissan key, quite literally, but with a Mercedes badge on the top. That is a normal Nissan key, same as you might find for a GTR or a Duke. Let's come and have a look in here, and you will notice similarities and familiarities from Mercedes-Benz vehicles. For example, the steering wheel with the various controls you have around it, the dashboard, and the different displays you have there, even the digital central display. That is the same as in my AMG GTR for what it's worth. It's quite interesting to see on the pickup, the floating tablet style entertainment system in the middle. This is a little bit different down here, but then you have Daimler's interface control as well to control the navigation. And I guess for a vehicle like this, quite nice materials. The interior hasn't had the full Brabus treatment. They could do a complete refit should you wish. It does have Brabus side sills, floor mats, and the pedals as well for the brake and the accelerator down there. But otherwise, it's basically a Mercedes interior in, I suppose, what you could call a Nissan pickup. Because it's a chassis developed by Nissan, it's not going to be going to AMG. Mercedes have said there won't be an AMG version of the X-Class at all to be made, so don't go expecting an X-Class 63 or 63S or anything like that. But just to come in, take a seat in here, start it up, keyless, bring it into life, diesel engine roars into life there. You've got your different driving modes, so two-wheel drive into four-wheel drive, and there's an indicator up top locking the different diffs and even pushing in, turning around one more into four-wheel drive low range mode. Of course, low range helps for the kind of environment that this will no doubt be used, big towing capacity and pulling heavy loads behind it. I'll actually come around just quickly to show you the engine bay. I'll turn it back off, pop that open when we come round, just to talk about some of the numbers behind the car. So the standard X250d would have 190 horsepower. Oops, just missed the catch. Oh, that's a heavy lid. That's definitely not carbon fibre or lightweight. 190 horsepower and 450 newton meters. This car has 211 horsepower, so 21 increase and a 60 newton meter increase up to 510 newton meters in total, which does not make it rocket ship fast. 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, 62 miles an hour. Slam that down. Is 11.5 seconds, which might make it one of the slowest cars we've ever featured on the Shmee 150 YouTube channel. I'm not quite sure what the top speed is, but no doubt it's not really the kind of vehicle to be attacking a top speed run on the Autobahn. Anyway, let me jump back in now. Let's get this thing started up again and get out on the roads to go and drive it and see what it's like. Should I be approaching this as a pickup or as a Mercedes? Because that makes this all very different. Let's talk about it as a Mercedes first. So what we're looking at is reasonably nice, but it's very previous generation, if I could say that. It's not the latest tech. Even what you see in the new A-Class, for example, the basic hatchback, their entry-level model, admittedly an upgrade in the A-Class will get you full digital displays. It's all incredibly clever, and the integration of voice conversation as well that you can have with the car. If we talk about it as a pickup, now this is where my inexperience doesn't help, but from what I imagine, we are definitely at the premium end, and that is what this is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a Nissan Navara with a nicer interior, a more luxurious place to spend many hours if you want an upmarket truck. And obviously this kind of thing is going to be more popular in markets like Australia, South Africa, than it is in the United Kingdom, where I think basically no one really drives one unless you need it for your job, for your business, for your specific routine. You're not going to buy a pickup unless you actually need one. But looking at even an SUV in front, I feel really high up right now, actually. Completely kind of off-road. You could take this off-road and go do something with it, but unfortunately we're not in that kind of environment. So if we put it manual, we can experience some of the power. Well, we could if the guy in front put his foot down, but he hasn't. So foot flat, that is it. Oh, we got to do that to go up a gear. Okay, well, I tell you what, it might be slow, 11.5 to 62 miles an hour, but it has a lot of torque. You get all of that torque very well and strongly throughout the rev range. Down a gear, go. Which way is up? That way is up. Okay, I'm getting in a complete muddle, but you kind of get the point. These things are about torque. You know, if you're pulling a 2-ton load behind you or something, you want to still be able to have some go if you're on the motorways or the Autobahn. Maybe you won't be going Mach 10, but that's not what it's for. That feels a bit clunky, not particularly premium. Yes, it's got a Mercedes badge right up on the top. The steering wheel is nice, and obviously that's the thing that you're mostly interacting with. The infotainment system we can turn on with a button here. Wake that up. Oh, wow, that got really loud really quickly. We don't want that. Completely actually made me jump, but that will come to life, and that's nice. You know, this is the system that we're familiar with, and well, I'm familiar with from different models, but it works well. It's a quite small screen on the tablet, so perhaps that could be a little bit larger, but that's not really the point. That's got your navigation and everything like that built into it that you could possibly need as well. So that does the job. I think the air vents are reasonably decent. I like this kind of style in the center. At least there is a design to it as opposed to them just being bolted in. But then you do have lots of pretty cheap plasticky kind of bits around. There's a bit of leather padding and stitching on the shoulder line on the top rolls of the door cards, and some silver finish for the grab handles and trim surround for the center console. But then there's a lot of that kind of stuff as well. So you see the bits that come from the Nissan side of this rather than the Mercedes bits. I'm sure if they wanted to, they could completely go over the top, and I know Brabus could. If you wanted this with a plush full leather interior like an S-Class, Brabus would no doubt be very happy to oblige and create that, but I'm not necessarily sure if that fits this car. In fact, it's quite surprising to me actually that Brabus make this in the first place, that they're doing their touches to an X-Class. I mean, it must have been a surprise choice to go down that route. But when you come to a stop, you've got that diesel noise going on. I'm not a diesel man. I'm sorry to those of you who like diesel engines. For me, it's not my thing at all. So I'm just driving it obviously right now in the normal two-wheel drive mode, which is everything to the rear. Steering feels kind of everywhere, but then you expect it to. It's not pinpoint sharp supercar, right? It's got lots of play and wiggle room, and you can feel the car rolling around like crazy when you do that. If you put it into four-wheel drive mode, obviously giving yourself really wet conditions, or driving in snow, or driving off-road, or doing that kind of thing, that's where you're going to excel. If you want to go and blast across the dunes or something like that, then it's probably going to be capable of doing that also. For the normal road, you would want to be slightly more efficient about things, and you'd put it back into two-wheel drive, which I guess you can do at any speed. It doesn't seem to stop you, and you get a beep to confirm that it's done. Seats, comfortable. I mean, if you're going to be driving this kind of vehicle, you're probably going to be sitting in it for a very long period, extended drive, so you want a seat that is supportive, comfortable, relaxing. You've got electronic controls down the side with a number of different adjustments, and some lumbar support as well in the lower back, should you want that to be pointed towards you. You've got heated seats also, but it's kind of strange for me because some of these controls that I'm used to from a Mercedes operate differently in here. So even the heated seats, I was going to say the seated heats there, the heated seats have a control that's slightly different to normal. What else do we have? A couple of other buttons here for towing and the alarm. But not too much to play around with, just practicality, big door mirrors, decent visibility around the car, lots of storage. Rear space looks good as well, but we'll explore that when we get back. Basically everything just seems to, I guess, do what it should, but it's not, I'm going to say, the most exciting thing in the world. If I was going to find anywhere to turn around, a garden centre is exactly where it was going to be, wasn't it? That's the perfect home for a car like this. Anyway, I'm going to go back out onto the road. I just thought it was quite amusing that by coincidence, that is where I ended up pulling into. So we do have all the cameras, the top-down bird's eye view style, as well as the reversing camera and a forwards camera, which obviously help a lot, all the practicality elements to that respect, and they seem to be holding on while we're actually moving at a decent speed as well. But I like those kind of systems, just making life a touch easier for the driver. And we go out onto the road here, foot back down. Who am I kidding? There is not much power. I look forward to the more powerful one arriving, the 350d. I get the feeling that this car is really imposing. I've noticed a couple of people, when I'm behind them, not close behind them, have pulled over or moved out of the way, because especially in black with the big strong grille, it must just have a presence behind people that's actually quite scary. Almost, I don't know, almost akin to monster truck style, but on the roads. Anyway, just an unusual observation that I've noticed while driving. Another observation is that the armrest is annoyingly far back, so my arm is kind of floating in, not really making it because of where the seat bolster is, which is a really strange problem to have. I can put my arm on it like that, but then it's like nowhere near the steering wheel or anywhere useful, which is strange. Honestly, it's actually amazed me how many people pay attention to this car. Driving it down the roads, I've seen a number of heads turning and following it, which you do not expect in a black pickup, or maybe because it's so unfamiliar, they don't really know what they're looking at. It was introduced, what, around a year and a half ago or so in total. But let's have a quick look around the inside of the car here now that we've parked back up at Brabus. We're also parked in some interesting company, so we can see the size difference in a moment when I jump out between a normal G-Class, the X-Class that we're in, and the 4x4 squared, as well as the tiny little smarts that line up in front of us. But just to talk a bit about this, the dashboard, for example, speedometer and fuel gauge on the left, rev counter and temperature gauge on the right. In the center, you have your display up top for the gearbox. You have the screen that you can cycle through different modes and settings, depending what you would like to see from it. You can go back home and then bring up various different bits of information as well, like the navigation, your phone settings, directions, depending what you want it to show, basically. It is fairly basic by modern standards, but it works, it's efficient, and it does the job from that point, and that's all controlled through the left side. On the right side, you have your phone, your media, music, volumes, that side of things. And behind this, you have your cruise control and speed limiter. On the left, your stalk up top for wipers and lights. Mercedes don't have the stalk there on this car, where you would normally find the drive selector, because they've moved it or borrowed it from the Nissan down in the centre. To the left of the steering wheel, you have a number of different controls, so your lane keep assistance, your parking sensors to disable, the 360 camera. If you want to bring that up, has to be said, that loads almost immediately when you press the button, which is good, and it just helps you line up in a space nice and neatly. As you can see, small little grey areas at the front and back just mask out where the cameras can't quite see due to the bumpers, but all around that makes life very easy. And beneath that, you've got your light control. You've got a toggle here, which I have to be honest, I don't know exactly what it is. Ah, it's the rear window. That's cool. You can open and close the rear window sideways. Wonderful. Trial and error by pressing buttons right there at its finest. The start-stop button for the engine on the right, air vents, a few hotkeys and controls to jump to your different settings, into the car settings there where you get a graphic, and you can cycle through this and go through all sorts of different setup and that kind of thing. Your climate control, dual mode. Normally it'd be the other way around. You'd have the light illuminated for being synced, but standard climate control. Down below, your selector, 12-volt socket on the right. Very basic panel for this though. And then you get your infotainment control, so the Daimler system, where you can put different inputs or just swipe it around to jump through different menus, and the like. Manual handbrake if you want to use it. Obviously you can use park on the gearbox. Small storage cubby area, not necessarily the best cup holder right here, I have to say. And then a decent storage box back here with some USB ports, an SD slot and another 12-volt, and a little bit of space, although maybe you'd want a tiny bit more space than that offers. Not entirely sure. Seats themselves, not the finest materials, but like I said, you can get that upgraded. Looking around, arm pad, the top are padded, but the rest is quite plasticky. Glove box, really quite plasticky, it has to be said. Over on that side, so let me turn it off for a moment and jump out towards the rear. While we do so, you can fold the mirrors, and you can fold them kind of half in. If I just put the ignition back on, maybe it needs the whole engine back on. There we go. Fold the mirrors and stop them. Magic. We'll go all the way. Small little thing, and then windows, and turn that back off. Climb to the back. You do have a decent amount of storage in the door pocket. Not sure what the audio system is like, but I don't imagine it will be the most fantastic the world has ever seen. Come to the back. Back here, continued with Brabus floor mats. Very nice to have those in the back of the car. You can see there's a decent amount of space. The front seat is in my seating position. There are good grab handles everywhere. So there's enough room back here, not huge amounts. There's a grab handle up at the front A-pillar for the front passenger as well, just to hold on tight, or up on the roof, depending where you want. And similarly, rear door pockets with good storage as well. Before we come to the back and open this back up, there are Mercedes badges and Brabus badges absolutely everywhere. And just for a bit of fun, I'm going to climb up here and jump into the back. There we go. Standing in the back of the pickup, looking over the 4x4 squared, which is massive compared to a normal SUV, a GLC-sized SUV. Up here, rear brake light, radio antenna on the back, and you can see obviously the lights up front. That all does more or less what it should do. Must look quite funny running around in the back of it. Jump back down, close this back up. That's quite heavy, it has to be said. You can see the camera right here that obviously is for the 360 vision around, the chrome finishes for the exhaust and for the parts of the bumper as well. Just take it all in and have a little look at how an X-Class is made small sitting next to a G500 4x4 squared, but if we compare it the other way around versus a regular G63, it's quite a chunk larger, about similar height but longer versus that, and then just makes the smarts look quite frankly tiny. But there we go, a test drive and look at the Mercedes X-Class X250d with Brabus modifications and add-ons, a little bit more performance, down to 11.5 seconds, like I said, for the sprint to 100 kilometers an hour. The regular car I think is 11.8, so we're talking 0.3 of a second, which is not a huge amount, but in this world I think you'd want perhaps even a little bit more. Depends what it is. If it's literally a machine to use for its daily duties, then yes, why would you bother? The efficiency of the X250d with the 2.3 litre engine would probably be the way to go. Anyway, an interesting one for me, experiencing a pickup that's not the AMG 6x6, but driving it and seeing that as a pickup goes, it's a That sounded nice. That was the startup of a V8. Yeah, a Brabus 800 right there. Lovely. We like that a lot. As a pickup goes, this is what I was going to say, I can see that it's functional and practical, and I can see compared to that it's probably more premium than regular. As a Mercedes goes, it's not really a full Mercedes. It's kind of a Nissan Navara with some Mercedes add-ons. Some good noises going on around here. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap this one up. Big thanks to Brabus for the opportunity to take the car out for a drive. I hope you've enjoyed this full look. That's a very unusual thing here on the Shmee 150 channel, but if you'd like to see plenty more of what goes on at the likes of places like this visiting Brabus, please do be sure to be subscribed and ring the bell button down below for instant notifications. That's it for this time though. Thank you very much as always for watching, guys, and I'll catch up with you again very, very soon. Cheers!